So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, villains, and focus, and welcome for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Hope everyone's doing well today. Hope the weather has well, I hope it's not as swelteringly warm in the UK as it has been over the last few days. We're kind of getting it here in Ireland. We had some thunderstorms last night, so I hope you don't get those as well. I'm going to try and sort out my camera here just at the start of this. It seems to just go, always does this every so often, goes very blurry. So and see if that makes any difference, and I don't think it did, but anyway, we'll plow ahead. I wanted to come on. I wanted to talk about Jaydee Canvot, or Canvot. I should have really looked up properly how to pronounce his name. 19-year-old from, or 18-year-old, will be 19 in 4 days time, or 14 days time, sorry, should I say, from Toulouse. Can play centre back, can play central midfield as well, and wanted to pop on and chat about him. And because I think that there could be some legs in this, because I think what Villa will want to do is I think they will want to bring in another centre half or somebody with that versatility that the Canvot does display. So this isn't going to be a really long one today. I for full transparency, you guys will know I like to watch about 5 games of each player. I've only watched 3 games for this guy so far, but I do have some thoughts on him. Because I can see some things that are pretty Premier League ready, but also very raw about this guy as well. So without further ado, let me share up some slides and we will take a little look at Jaydee Canvot. Firstly, as I say, he's a Toulouse player, 6'2". He's right-footed, and as I said, in 14 days' time, he'll be celebrating his 19th birthday. Very difficult to get values of these players, specifically when they're so young, because values can jump. I've seen Villa. I've seen some people say that Villa have been quoted 15 million for him, and that wouldn't surprise me. Toulouse are also looking to sell Charlie Cresswell as well. Centre half, the English centre half that obviously has won the under-21 championship recently, and looks to have some suitors in him. And I know a lot of people here will probably be very familiar with him and his aerial ability, because he just heads everything away, or he did at least anyway in the European Championships. This guy is a bit of a different player to that, or he's been utilised differently, I suppose, is how I'm going to put it, because he's very much a defend first type player. Now, he has straddled 2 positions. He's only played 18 games for Toulouse. So once again, you know, when we're making a determination on somebody who's only played 18 games, you have to say that there's no one can definitively say that they know exactly what this guy is going to turn out to be. He's only played 1,100 minutes as well. You contrast that with the likes of Aston that's coming to the club as well, who's played I think somewhere in around 9,000 minutes currently. You know, experience is an awful lot in the game of football. This guy is inexperienced, and that's what we have to preface everything here. But when I looked at him, looked at 3 different games. He played Montpellier. I watched that game. I watched the game against Saint-Etienne, and I watched the game against Brest. And he played in multiple positions in those games. He played almost as a central midfielder against at times against Saint-Etienne, and he played also. He was popping up at right centre back. He was popping up at left centre back as well. So he showed a versatility to his game that I think is quite important. Now, that heat map there, it's important to note that heat map is don't buy into that heat map. That's over 18 games, and obviously I've actually seen that heat map again. I did up these slides last night, saw that heat map again today, and it looks nothing like that. So I'm actually going to share up what the heat map looks like. So I saw it straight away. Yeah, Mr. Green comes in and says he likes to get Oh, you said get the likes up. Actually, I thought you said he likes to get up there. So I was just reading it out of the corner of my eye. That heat map is not reflective of what he actually does. SofaScore had an incorrect heat map up there up until very recently, and I would say even up until today. So I will show you that in a moment. He's more of a defensive type of player. That's why I say that this is misleading. I don't know whose heat map they had up there. But that heat map is misleading because he's more of a defensive type player. Has played in a back three, is right-sided centre back in a back three. Has played in a back four. Has played as defensive midfielder as well. So he's shown quite a lot of versatility in his game. And that's something that I think that needs to be borne in mind with regards to somebody like this. He's very young. He's been pliable, specifically coming into that team within League One. But his time in that team has shown some pretty decent results. I'm going to take you through. I've got some still shots of some of those games because obviously I can't play video in these scouting reports. I've got some still shots of those games that I want to bring you through. There's only like 4 of them, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So watching this guy, defensively pretty sound, needs a bit of refinement and work on his footwork. And what I mean by that is specifically in one-on-one defending. He looks more like a central midfielder that is moving back to the defense center half position, which I think is what everybody really, if you look up people who speak about him, that's what they say the same. When you see him, he looks like that. He's not particularly nimble in one-on-one defending, but he tackles quite a lot of dribblers and tackles quite a lot of people in one-on-one defense. When I say his nimbleness kind of sometimes jumps off the pages, if let's say that you've got a striker or a winger that's coming from the left-hand side of the penalty area and he's running across the penalty area, sometimes he finds that hard to mirror them when they're running laterally. But it's not glaring. He's very, very cautious in the penalty box, and he doesn't like to give away much in the penalty area from what I've seen. When he played out the field, or when he was playing kind of the central midfield position, he was, he would like to commit a foul. He'd no problem being robust or trundling into tackles and letting people know that he was there. And that could be the exuberance of youth as well, I think. But definitely something that he displayed when I watched him on film and on tape. Likes to tackle standing up, one of these things. And I think this is a trait of an Unai Emery player. Unai Emery doesn't really like players that go to ground. This guy likes to tackle standing up. But when you watch the game against Brest, I think he plays a small bit further forward. He's playing that right centre back role, does go slightly further forward, and he shows some incredibly good defensive speed and pace to get back, and puts in an absolutely brilliant sliding tackle on a winger, on the left winger for Brest in that game as well. It just really springs to mind. When I talk about him being robust in the tackle, he almost cuts a fella in half against Montpellier as well. So there is that side to the game. He immediately gets up, looks to the player and kind of goes to the referee, please don't send me off. And the referee didn't send him off. But it was a meaty challenge, put it that way. He used all of his 6'2" body to muscle him out of the way and to tackle him. Very much so. I think like this guy comes in, I think that you could see him in some cup games. Like he's got raw abilities, really good raw abilities. I was speaking to a guy that I know that looks at. I'll be honest with you, there's agent/scout. And they do a lot of work within France and Italy. And I asked him what this guy was like, and he said Castellan Lukegba, who's now with is it RB Leipzig? When he was with Lyon, he burst onto the scene as a 17-year-old, and he was pretty raw, but he was athletically a freak. And that's what my mate mentioned to me about this guy. He said he's an athletic freak. He knows how to defend. He's very very diligent, very hardworking player, but he's raw. So he's like, he said he reminds him of Lukegba when he burst on at 17, although this fella is bursting on the scene at 18. I asked him, could he get to the heights of Lukegba? Because that would be nice if we could get somebody in now before they turn into the player that they could be. And he said that he'd have a bit of a way to go to be there, because he's moving backwards, he felt as well from the defensive midfielder position into the centre half. He feels that maybe he could get there in about 2 years' time or 3 years' time. He could be a very, very competent centre back within the Premier League, but he would have a learning curve. I think that's fair enough to say, because that's not a bad thing either. You know, a lot of players we're going to sign are going to have, especially coming from another league, and you would expect that. If you're looking at a person who's just turning 19 or going to be turning 19 with 1,100 minutes under his belt, if you're looking at him and expecting him to come in day one and partner Pau Torres or Tyrone Mings at the back, then that's kind of an issue that you have to deal with yourself, because an 18, 19-year-old with 1,100 minutes behind his belt isn't going to be fully formed. I don't think I should need really to spell that out an awful lot more than you guys would obviously already know that. So here I'm going to take down the comments from the stage there. So here's what he looks like in comparison to Konsa, Torres, and Mings. Konsa being the pink, Torres being the red, and Mings being the blue. There, and some people have, when I show this graphic, some people kind of jolt at Mings' aerial presence, and that is what his aerial win rate was for last year. Granted, he'd only played in a lot fewer games, but than he normally does, but that's what it was. Anyway, yeah. So from a defensive point of view, obviously he puts in a lot more tackles. Was in a team that was a lot less ball dominant, in a team that was at the bottom half of League On, would have had to do a lot more defending. But he's capable, and he was able to do that defensive work, and he's in the top quarter of all centre halves for the amount of tackles he's puts in per 90, winning 0.9 of those, so winning roughly about 50% of any of those tackles that came in. Likes to tackle in all areas of the field. Very adept at defensive tackles. As I say, he's a very defensive-minded player. So I don't know where they got that heat map from on SofaScore previously, but it has changed. And if you go on SofaScore now, you will see a different heat map to this, very much so a different one. As I say, you can see here how he likes to play the game standing up. You can see a lot of the things there: tackling, dribblers, ball recoveries, and passes blocked are usually an indicator when I look at those, and if they're high in comparison to interceptions or in comparison to clearances, I will look at that and I'll go, right, first thing I want to do is I want to see him standing stout in the tackle. I don't really want to see him going to ground, because if I see somebody going to ground an awful lot and the other ones like interceptions and clearances and all that aren't up there, then I'm kind of thinking, this guy is a very reactive defender. Sorry, not this guy. That a player that does that would be a very reactive defender. In this instance, this guy can react because he's got the pace and the power to do so, but his defensive positioning is pretty good as well, and I'm going to show that in a moment. He's not a refined passer of the ball. He's 18 years going on 19 years of age. I wouldn't have expected him to be a refined passer of the ball. He's very much in there because he's an athletic freak and because he's a very good defender. He's got a natural defensive mindset about him. So when you look at his passing statistics, you're going to see there pass completion is fine, 86.2%, not going to hinder you in any way. But he hasn't had an awful lot of pass attempts, hasn't been trusted with those, hasn't had an awful lot of progressive passes, hasn't really been trusted with those either. So wasn't expecting an awful lot from him here. It's kind of a case of be available to take the ball, get the ball, and move that ball on quickly, and no need to play hero ball. That's kind of what this guy was tasked with doing. Very much so. His biggest attribute is being a defender, and he could turn into a defensive enforcer because he knows how to use his body. When I was putting this out, or when I put up the thing earlier on, somebody said to me, "Can he play right back?" No, is what I'm going to say. Right centre back. Could he go out to that right back position? I mean, he could. Like he's got a lot of time that he could learn to play that right back position, and he's athletic enough. But a lot of the statistics you're going to see here on that left-hand side, a lot of them look key passes, shot creating actions, all that. Those percentages are for centre halves, so they're not for fullbacks. But when you kind of put his metrics up against fullbacks, it doesn't look out of the question that he could play at right back. I just don't see it. I see Aston Villa bringing him in to play to be that backup right centre half. is what I see happening here. But stranger things have happened than that he could be cross trained. I just don't see it. Now, what I want to do as well, as I say, I've taken some screenshots here, some still shots, should I say. Here is Toulouse versus Saint Etienne. I couldn't pass up the chance to watch Lucas Dassin once more, and I did during this game. And I've highlighted here Jaydee Canvot. So the reason that I wanted to highlight his defensive positioning here is he is at 18 years of age, just going on 19 years of age. He is playing at right centre half here. But throughout this whole movement, when that ball is being moved across the field into the wing position here, where the winger does get the cross away, Canvot clears this ball here, but he's calling the line the whole way through. You can see it in the game. He's being vocal. He's telling players where to be. He's calling that line and moving the chess pieces around. And people are reacting to him when he's doing it. So at 19 years of age, you know me, I bloody love communication. Love communication. And this guy in this instance here, you could see it. He was maneuvering people around in front of him. And this ball comes in and he gets into the area to deal with it here. One criticism I would have here, and I suppose the only thing is he's 19 years of age again, and I'm going to be prefacing an awful lot of that here, is throughout the course of this game as well, Saint Etienne went wide quite a lot. And while he was directing traffic as the ball was coming from the right-hand side quite a lot, or from the left-hand side quite a lot, should I say, the defensive left-hand side, the attacking right-hand side, he didn't really look over his shoulder. So that scanning ability, that ability to look over his shoulder, I would imagine if I was in his shoes, I'd be just kind of thinking, that ball comes to me, I'm not making a mistake, I'm not shoehorning it into the back of my net. But as time goes on, and as you're playing in the Premier League, you're going to need to look behind you and see if players are getting a run on you, if they're trying to go to the inside of your shoulder, if they're trying to come around you. So what way are the defenders behind you lining up? What way are the strikers and the attackers? They haven't been great at that over the years. They really have not been great at that over the years. So it's something I would like to see our whole defense as a whole improve on. But I was impressed with it. I was impressed with his defensive positioning. For somebody so young, and as I say, he cuts a big figure there. You can even see him, and I know it's a blurry screenshot, but it cuts a big figure, big enough figure. Here we have the one-on-one defending piece that I was talking about. So again, versus Saint Etienne, this is what I was talking about here. We have that left winger. He's out on that left-hand side. He's cutting across the box, and I've got two screenshots to show you here. So we can see here initially Canvot engages him with a decent square on setup, like you would want any centre half to engage here. He's probably late getting into his stance here to stand up to the attacker. And the reason I say that is, you're only one outstretched leg here away from giving away a penalty, but he doesn't. He pulls his leg in and he tries to move laterally. Now, once again, I know it's incredibly difficult to move laterally in a situation like this, because we can see that the winger has a run on him, essentially. What I would like to see him do here in future is I would like to see him get square and get set a bit quicker. He stares him down for quite a long period of time before this. When I say quite a long period of time, I'm talking he stares him down for like 2 seconds as opposed to getting into his stance, So he's a bit flat-footed in this instance, and that's fine. And that's absolutely fine for somebody who's so young, but he has to learn from it. And what happens is here we can see that he does get back with his speed and he corrals the player. This is a separate moment. Sorry. So in this one here, the player gets across, gets his shot away, his shot goes wide. An exact similar situation happens later on in the game. And we can see it here that he gets caught in that situation. But this time you can see that he's learned and he's mimicked and mirrored and shadowed his man across the box. So it's very, very same situation happened here. You'll notice this is 14 minutes later. At 65 minutes in the game. This is at 51 minutes. He gets stood up on the outside here. He's slow getting into his stance. His man gets a run across him. Can't really get across there. The other covering centre half has to kind of step out a small bit. The shot goes wayward. So he kind of got away with that because he had good cover behind him. in the instance here, he gets his body set a bit earlier. The winger does go around him, but what he does is he's able to get back into his stance, move laterally, and in this instance here, he blocks the ball. So the difference of how he adjusted to the situation in game, I thought was quite impressive. I thought that was quite impressive. Specifically here against Saint-Étienne, and Saint-Étienne were relegated, but they did cause them problems. As you can see here, 65 minutes gone, and it's 3-2. So this was a ding dong game. And I can't remember what it finished up for in the end. The next one here I wanted to show is, and I want you guys to go back and watch this game if you can. Watch these two games if you can. You'll find highlights of them. I watched this game against Brest for two reasons. I wanted to see Marco Bizot in goals as well. He didn't have a ton to do from a Toulouse point of view here. But what I was really intrigued with here was Toulouse kind of went for it at times. This is in the 90th minute. We can see here, you've got 90 minutes, 90-0-0. So this is in the 90th minute. And Canvot was a down 1-0, Toulouse are. And he makes an absolute Lungbuster in the 90th minute to get back. So I think at this stage he was probably pushed up into midfield to try, as they were kind of trying to chase an equaliser. But he had been playing at a right-sided centre-back in a back three. And he makes a run from inside the other half here. And the guy that he's tackling here has probably about 7 yards on him, I would say. He makes up that distance, goes to ground, puts in a tackle. One of those brilliant ones that if this was in front of the home crowd, the place would erupt. The ball goes out for a corner. It's one of those ones that you get up off the floor and you punch the air and you're delighted with yourself if you're 1-0 up. If you're 1-0 down, you're kind of going, you're turning around, you're looking at your other defenders going, where the fuck were you? Why do I have to make this Lungbuster back? But his covering speed was really impressive there. Big, long, languid stride. Used every inch of his stride and used every inch of his body to get that tackle in there. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And the last one here, he shows an aggressiveness. This is going back in the very, very first minute of the Saint-Étienne game. So we can see him here where he's tackling on the ball is like he's playing as right-sided centre half in the back three. He's gotten forward. He's gotten into these players quite quickly, and he absolutely buckles this guy here. Wins the ball, no free given. Creates a counter attack, but he set the mark early. That's what I was saying earlier on. The aggressiveness. He will straddle the line of getting a yellow card and giving away a foul out the field. He's comfortable. It looks like this area of the field he's comfortable in, because of his time playing a defensive central midfielder. And as I say, in this instance here, he upends your man. Ball does break to a Toulouse player, and they do get an attack, and they don't score from it. But that was a marker he set down. And he had to close on this player here as well. This wasn't the ball that was played in between the two of them. He had to make up ground to get there, gets his legs in there, buckles your man in the tackle, sets the tone, the standard for somebody who's only 18 years of age. I was impressed enough by that. So that's kind of my unfinished evaluation of Jaydee Canvot. And if he signs, we will do an awful lot more on him because, as I say, you can see the intrigue that he brings. If you scout him via statistics and statistics alone, you are going to be probably disappointed because you look at the passing statistics and go, oh, he can't do it. And I've had people already DM me saying that he can't pass the ball, completely dismissing the fact that he's 18 going on 19 years of age. And that is incredibly important context. He has an awful lot of good qualities to his game and an awful lot of good potential. And for me, it would be interesting to see what his price would be, and it would be interesting to see if he gets what kind of plan an Unai Emery would have for him from that point of view. And I think, if you're looking to get an Axel Disasi, or if you're looking for something like what Axel Disasi gave you, Canvot could do that for you. He could do that for you in time. But as I say, one of the big things he does need to do is needs to kind of start to sort out his feet if he is to stay at centre half permanently. And definitely if as people were saying to me that as some people on Twitter were saying to me, like, could he move out the right back? If he's to move out the right back, he definitely has to sort out his feet a small bit more. But as a centre half, he works, and as a central defensive midfielder, he works as well. And I think that he could probably straddle those two lines, even in his formative years. He could cross train between the two and do Boubacar Kamara on it, maybe. From that point of view, but who knows? We will see. So thanks very much, everybody, for watching. And if you're listening back, I do thank you so much for that as well. We've got Walsall tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Did you guys notice let me bring that back up here again. I wanted to say here as well, just a homage to the new shirt that Aston Villa have basically announced out of the blue, out of nowhere tonight. I adopted that into my design. I hope you guys like it. I like some feedback on that. If there's too much going on the page, let me know. As I say, I'm not a graphic designer, nor do I think I ever will be. But I like that new design. I like that new shirt, and yeah, it would be interesting to get my hands on one as soon as they're released, because I'm really loving what Adidas are doing with Villa's range at the moment as well. So thanks very much, everyone, for your time. Really appreciate it, as always. Tomorrow we've got Walsall. I wonder will we wear the shirt. But either way, we'll be back tomorrow, probably with something before Walsall. If not, we will do a post-Walsall piece to discuss some of the players that played. But football is back tomorrow, everybody. And it's going to be a long, long season. So hope you are here to join us as well. So thanks a million for your time. Stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.